As they're making their way up here, I just want to welcome you all. Thank you so much for coming tonight to celebrate the release of Wāhine Koa, Hawaiian Women for Sovereignty and Demilitarization. Many people have been congratulating me. It's really not my book. I feel like I'm the midwife to the stories that these four women who are the authors of this book have shared. And so I'm going to facilitate some talk story time with them tonight, and I'll tell you a little bit about the book and introduce them by way of reading a little bit of the introduction to the book. And then we have some awesome next generation Wāhine Koa who are going to be sharing as well tonight. So it's going to be a nice evening. The Ava and I, please help yourself. So this project has been a real dream for me to work on. I've been actually really wanting to do a project that honors the women in the Hawaiian movement since I was in college many years ago. I won't say how many. And this project has various roots and beginnings, and my story of how it began is only one. And the women who are the authors, the real authors, not only of, come guys, who are the real authors of the book are also the authors of these stories. They've lived these lives, yeah. And so I'll just kind of read a little bit of the introduction to give you a sense of the book and to also introduce them, although they probably need no introduction with this audience. Just have a seat. Okay. Here or there, anywhere, wherever you feel comfortable.
You sit in the middle. You're skinny. Fat guys over here. You're skinny.
You can use all of them if you want to use all of them. Anyway. Okay. Have you ever fallen in love with a story? I thought I had, and then this project began in earnest, and these four fierce Kanaka welcomed me into their circles of memory. At their kitchen tables, on lanai, in restaurants, at coffee shops, grocery stores, and bars, they poured out oceans of aloha aina, and I had never experienced love of land, of genealogies, of life itself, like I did sitting with them, floated by the recollection of their stories. At times, they shared stories over suitcases filled with water-damaged photos. At other times, they entrusted me with folders full of carefully curated newspaper clippings and flyers. Most times, they shared memories and analyses over food flavored with laughter, heartache, hope, and kuleana. When Haunani Trask wrote of fine baskets of resilience to carry our daughters in, she must have known this kind of love. The stories of these koa have the strength to carry our lahui. So who are they? Maxine Kahaule Leo, Moani Keala Kaka, Loretta Riddy, and Terry Lee Keko'olani Raymond. They are four of many women, many people committed to Hawaiian sovereignty and demilitarization. All of these women, the authors of this book, emerged as organizers in the 1970s, and they each entered Hawaiian movements through different routes. While their paths have intersected at various moments in the last 4 decades, they have also lived their own lives and fought their own battles differently. All of them, however, share two things in common, at least two things in common. Each touched Kaho'olawe in the early unsanctioned landings of the islands in the 1970s. And they each spent the ensuing decades of their adult lives fighting for the health and well-being of Hawaiian people and places. Each of these hulu kupuna introduces herself in her own way in her respective chapter, but I'll say a little bit about them here. So for those of you who don't know all of them, and it's just awesome to remember all the amazing things that they have done and honor and talk about these memories while they're right here with us for us to honor them. So in order, I won't say in what order. Yeah. Auntie Mary Maxine Lani Suarez Andrade Kahaulelio was born in 1938 and raised in Pauoa, Oahu. As a young mom, she later moved to the Ko'olauloa side of the island. Many years after her 5 children were grown, she settled on Hawaiian homestead lands in Waimea, Hawaii, where she lives today. He po'ohina nani wale. When I visited her in the process of working on this book together, actually Auntie Terry and I visited her together, and her hair was pulled back in the fashion of a pa'u rider, and riding horses is one of her great joys. Auntie Mac pulls no punches. Her kindness and generosity are matched by her fearlessness in speaking truth to power. Auntie Maxine's organizing work has primarily focused on leading and serving close to her home in recent years, whether organizing for the rights of mothers in her earlier life, assuring her homestead community has adequate fresh water, or serving on the Hawaii Island Burial Council. Most of Auntie Maxine's working career was spent feeding school children as a cafeteria worker in public schools. And while she loved this work in many ways, she also told me in her heart she had always wanted to be an attorney. Because her family could not afford college tuition when she finished high school, she was never able to walk that path. And yet this has not stopped her from fighting for Hawaiian rights in courtrooms and communities. For instance, she and Uncle Clarence Kuching, who's in the audience, also initiated a lawsuit against the Hawaii State Department of Land and Natural Resources regarding the Pohakuloa training area right next to her home in Waimea. Opposing ongoing cultural and environmental degradation, they argued that the DLNR has not upheld its duty to care for the Hawaiian lands used by the U.S. Army in Pohakuloa. In April 2018, Judge Gary Chang found in their favor. Yes, victorious, a win. Protectors of Pohakuloa have particularly highlighted measurements of toxic depleted uranium, as well as the violent noise and motion that shakes homes, bodies, and spirits. At almost 80, Auntie Maxine has just as much fight and spunk as ever. Auntie Moni Ke'alaakaka, who is with us in spirit, has been described by her daughter, Ho'olulahui, who is here with us in body and spirit, as a firecracker, and anyone who knew her would agree. Fiery and fearless, Auntie Moni was always ready to go toe-to-toe with anyone in political and intellectual battle, whether man or woman, friend or foe, elite or unknown. Born Edwina Moni Ke'alaakaka in 1944, she was raised in Kaimuki and also spent several years in California when her father moved there for work. Involved from the very beginning of the modern Hawaiian movement, Auntie Moni was a founding member of Kokua Hawaii, the Protect Kaho'olawe Ohana, and Kalahui Hawaii. For many years, she and her husband, Uncle Tomas Belsky, who's also here in the audience, published a newspaper appropriately titled Aloha Aina. And you could sometimes find Auntie Moni sitting in the parking lot at Akaka Falls, turning the dizzyingly endless train of tour buses and rental cars bringing people to witness the beauty of the waterfall into an opportunity to hand out her paper and educate tourists and islanders alike. Auntie Moni is perhaps best known for her 12 years she spent holding public office as an Office of Hawaiian Affairs trustee. I never wanted to sit on my ass in an office and do nothing, she says of that time. And she didn't. She never lived the lavish lifestyle of some political elites, and she raised hell about political corruption and mismanagement at OHA and elsewhere. Of the contributions and contentions she made at OHA, she looked most proudly upon the years she spent negotiating with the state on back rents due to OHA for the so-called ceded lands, also known as the Crown and Government lands of the Hawaiian Kingdom. She was instrumental in securing over $100 million in trust lands revenues to be paid toward the betterment of Native Hawaiians. Her work protecting lands continued well after her years at OHA were done in 1996. As just one example, in April 2015, 2 years prior to her passing, Auntie Moni was among those arrested on Mauna Awakea for resisting the construction of the 30-meter telescope. With graceful hands and a warm smile, Auntie Loretta Kawahine Aheo Pereira Riddy always gives fruit and vegetables grown in her garden to those who visit her family's Ho'olehua compound. She lives Aloha Aina every day every day in the ways she raises a multi-generational extended ohana who can still feed themselves from the island on which they live. Her connection as a Kanaka who lives her culture, particularly in her practice of hula, goes far back into her childhood and into her genealogy. Born 1948 and raised on Kauai, she grew up dancing and performing, but Auntie Loretta traces the beginning of her Aloha Aina activism to her move to Molokai when she was a young woman in her 20s. She had moved to the home island of her husband, Uncle Walter Riddy, who's also here in the audience. Mahalo. And became involved with Hui Alaloa's efforts to open access trails to the ocean. In those early years of Hui Alaloa and then Kaho'olawe, Auntie Loretta did a lot of behind-the-scenes organizing, fundraising, and support. Such work was often done by women in the movement, and it allowed others to be on the quote-unquote front line. Yet she too went to that line when she was able. Auntie Loretta risked her life on the second landing on Kaho'olawe in 1976, and has been involved in far more actions to protect land and water than she gets credit for. One fascinating part of Auntie Loretta's chapter is her account of the year and a half that her family spent in Pelekunu on the now uninhabited north side of Molokai after the Kaho'olawe landings. Along with a small handful of families, she and Uncle Walter built a life from scratch, literally from scratch, relying mainly on observational skills, life skills passed on by kupuna, and their strong intentions to strip away anything that would distract from reconnecting with Aina. When Auntie Loretta spoke to me about her time in Pelekunu, it was with the dreamy eyes of a lover, smitten with Aina. Always content to stand just outside the spotlight, in recent years, Auntie Loretta has stood against the La'au Point development, against toxic pesticides that are dumped on Hawaiian lands by transnational corporate biotech giants, against the TMT, and I love this story, against a Russian billionaire attempting to land his luxury yacht on Molokai. And every day, her Aloha Aina labor is expressed in the day-to-day acts of resurgence it takes to raise a family who lives their political beliefs through the food they grow and hunt, as well as the hope that they share. And just on La Ku'oko'a, she had a new mo'opuna on our 175th anniversary of our fabulous holiday. And last but certainly not least, Auntie Terry Keko'olani Raymond has been a peace and demilitarization activist since she was in high school at Sacred Hearts Academy in Honolulu in the late 1960s. A Kanaka from Kaimuki who also spent many of her childhood years in the Bay Area, Auntie Terry's 50 years and counting of activism is motivated by an abiding love for her people and island home. As comfortable at the back of the crowd as with a bullhorn at the front, Auntie Terry is a humble leader who has been a mentor to many, many young people, including myself and others in this audience. Hawaiian and non-Hawaiian, and you'll hear from some of them tonight. In independence and demilitarization movements in Hawaii and beyond. A student activist in ethnic studies at the University of Hawaii in the mid-1970s, Auntie Terry really developed her organizing skills through supporting the Waiahole Waikane Community Association against eviction. In that work, she became connected with Kaho'olawe and volunteered to be on the fifth landing of the island in 1977. Along with Auntie Maxine and a dozen others, her activism, that was on the fifth landing, sorry. Her activism in the 1990s and onward turned squarely toward Hawaiian sovereignty and independence and continued to emphasize demilitarization. You could often find her at the Thursday night halavai at Uncle Kekuni Blaisdell's house in Nu'uanu. She and Uncle Papa Soli Niheu, her longtime comrade in struggle, would sometimes bicker like an old married couple, without one iota of respect or love lost between the two of them. At least that's how I remember it. In this way, they taught the young people in the room, like myself, the importance of face-to-face dialogue and of struggle with one another. They showed how healthy communities and organized have to tell each other their own truths, even when it is difficult. Auntie Terry has always lifted up young youth leaders and made space for them at meetings, at actions, at debriefs. Whether in strategy sessions or casual conversations, she insists upon careful political analysis as well as upon cultivating relationships of solidarity in Hawaii and beyond. Her work has been done through various organizations, especially the Nuclear Free and Independent Pacific, Hawaii Peace and Justice, formerly the American Friends Service Committee, Women's Voices, Women Speak, Mana Movement, and the detours that she has co-led with Kyle Kajihiro as part of Hawaii Peace and Justice for many years. Auntie Terry's international demilitarization networking has resulted in linkages between Hawaii-based activists with our counterparts in Guam, Okinawa, Puerto Rico, and the Philippines, among others. Her chapter illustrates the capaciousness of her love and commitment to justice for Hawaiians and for many, many more. These four Wāhine koa are not the only women to have fought such battles or led Hawaiian movements for justice, but rather they exemplify the powerful and diverse roles that Hawaiian women have played in ongoing expressions of Ea Hawaii and in continuing our efforts to demilitarize and deoccupy Hawaiian lands and waters. Please join me in giving them a hand. And so now's some time for us to talk story with them. I told them that if they needed, I could ask questions, but if you have any things you want to start off by saying, feel free.
Always look at me because I'm the oldest.
So you gotta, this is also, so just hold it close.
First of all, I want to thank Keakua. He led me to all the struggles that Hawaiians have. He gave me my family first, and second, he gave me my job to feed all the kids. It's kind of hard to say how I became an activist, why I became an activist. It started with my husband's death. When my husband died at 36, the state wanted to put him in a hole and cover him up without any humility and dignity. And that's what they do to low income, especially me and my family, because we had to be under the welfare system, yeah? And I think everybody knows here what the welfare system is because our parents went through it. And a lot of your parents and to raise your kids. So question-wise is, how do you do it? Become an activist. It starts with your own family. It happens in your own family because the government, the bureaucracy, and all these BS things hits you way below, way below. You know, like the boxer says, they hit you below the belt. It doesn't hit us below the belt. It hits us way lower. So I was sick and tired of being pushed around. And I looked at my kids, you know, my kids raised up in Kahuku, played for the Red Raiders and everything. And I said to myself, hey, what the hell? I need a chance, man. I'm freaking human, you know what I mean? I'm not a piece of a welfare recipient that somebody called me in room 317 at the state capitol. You folks are the scums of the earth. That's what he told me. And I look at that guy and I said, oh, I fix you, you little son of a gun. I fix you. So I said to him, I'm sorry, I'm getting off the subject, but I said, you know the chair you're sitting on, my tutu, and carved that little core chair. He went like this, you know, he went pui one time. Oh, I said, nah, I'm only kidding. I carved it. But that's what they do. They humiliate us. They put us down. But they never put this portugee down. Because after a while, it was not only for me, it was for our kids, our children, and the families. And a lot of the families, and I think Gwen, Kim, my friend behind there, Soli's, Gwen, what am I going to call you, ex-wife? One time, anyway, we started the welfare groups in Hau'ula. It's called Ka'olao Low Welfare Rates Group. And I think that's how we started. And from that issue, it only not become a welfare issue, it became a living issue. It became a water issue. It became a land issue. It became a housing issue under the welfare rights group. So I think that's what it is. And then, of course, after everything, I landed up on Kaho'olawe with this kind of troublemakers over here, you know. Proud to be Hawaiian, proud to be a human being. Always remember that. Everybody in this room, be proud of who you are. Please. Because when we step foot on that island of Kohe, Malama o Kanaloa, and not Kaho'olawe, and that's what we always were taught when we were training. That is not the island of Kaho'olawe. It's called Kohe Malama o Kanaloa. I don't like to say what it means, but how many of you guys know kikis over here? You know what I mean? But they need to know. They need to know. And if we stay quiet, they will never know what Kanaka, what our mo'olelo means. They will never know. So Kohe Malama Lama o Kanaloa, do you know what it means? Please, anybody, what does it mean? What does Kohe mean in Kanaka? Exactly. Where do you think you guys came from? Hello, right? Malama is to take care of what? Our kikis. Why was the island called Kohe Malama Lama o Kanaloa? Look at it. It's a fetus. Have you ever noticed it? How many of you guys know look at maps? You guys know look at map. Why did we go fight for you guys? Terry, we were on the wrong island. But that's what it is. It's a fetus. It's a child that was born first, bombed and bombed, desecrated. What if it was your own child? Yeah? So I got pissed off. I said, come on, Terry, we gotta go. We gotta go. And by the grace of God, Soli Nihiu, head coach. Yeah. And all the guys from Molokai, oh, guys. But this is what you do. What do you do? Look at our kids. You think they get a chance today? No more. I'm glad that I went in 1977. I'm glad what I did in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s. I'm still doing it now, you know. I am. We're fighting up Big Island. We're getting bombed out by Pohakaloa. We're getting screwed. Excuse me, I'm gonna tell you guys. They build that ugly looking telescope on Mauna Kea. We have brackish water. You can't even drink our water. That's what we're living with. People are coming here and investing. Where do you think get homeless? We never had house. We never had homeless. We don't even know what is that before. If you like go empty house, you sleep empty house. You like go uncle house, you sleep uncle house. But look at the world today, please. We've done it. We put our lives on the line. We put our job on the line. I put my family on the line. But do you know what they said? Go, Ma. Go. But don't forget, you guys gotta feed the dogs. So go feed the dogs. I'm gonna feed the dogs, Ma. Go, Kaho'olawe. Okay. But do you make a choice in life? Have you ever made choices in life? Did you make good choices? I think we all did. I think we did. As being an activist, I will always do it till I am in my grave. I will take that love for our people, our Kanaka Maoli. I will take my love from Keakua and all the people, Walter Riddy, Charles Warrington, Francis Kauhani, Emmett, all of these people. But I tell you the truth. My love was George Helm. He was my mentor. He was my way. He was my light of what he sang in his songs that I went ho'olohe. And I said, my God, this man is telling us something in his waters, in his land. And that's what made me go, is Georgetown. But also, these guys make me go to Terry and Soli and I tell you, hang around these guys. No, hang around these guys. You're going to get into trouble. Right, Terry? Yeah. There you go. There's so much to tell you, folks. There is so much. I'm on my last path. I have done what I've done for 30, almost 40 years, and still doing it. My prayer, my dream, is for you folks to follow. No scared. No be fear. Don't put that fear. Because George always said something. He said, if you scared, stay home. But if you no scared, go home. Go get your house. Go get your land. Go get your water. Go get them. You go home where you belong. And this is where we belong, he said. Yo? That's what he said. So I went. I listened. I went. Please, teach your kids. Please teach your children. Okay? Please teach your children. Our children kolohe because too much this kind, yeah? You know. But, you know, unplug them. They get three-prong, unplug them. Don't worry. And they let them go like that, and they're going to say, oh, wait, Ma, what the? Oh, I'll never pay the electric bill. Teach them. Please, teach them, love them. My kids are all big. They're all futs already. But they've been in it from the time I was. They've been in it. They've helped me so much in my activist world. They were always there because I was always there for them. So please don't. If your kids say, I love you, what are you going to say? Oh, I love you too. No, you don't say that. You grab the kid and you say, you sure? You sure you love me? And the kid going, clean your room. That's another part of your life. So, is there any questions you like ask me? No worry, if it's personal, go ahead. I'm not, what the hell?
You go.
No, you see, junk in the pool, hurry up, you guys. You lose. You lose. Oh.
She always cracks me up. It's just an honor to be here. Thank you so much, Noi, for your work, your scholarship, and for bringing the community together in such a way. It's really, really beautiful. I look at everybody in the audience, too, and I see many faces that I've seen over the years, and some of the young ones, too, that are coming up and learning how to resist, how to fight on the front lines. So, you know, there's a legacy here that I would like to acknowledge, too, and that is of women. Women having a role in organizing, in strategizing, and fighting, not just cooking, okay? The meals. Sometimes the women go, we do the strategy, and the men cook for us, okay? Keep that in mind in the other things, okay? Yeah. So we all take care of each other, and just like the Lahui is here today, if we have to go to, something on the front line, then we can leave our children with some of our other people in the Lahui. So we feel confident and supported in doing this kind of work. But thank you so much, everybody, for coming out. And just wanted to recap a few things. You know, my activism started in high school. I was at Sacred Arts Academy. And during the time, there was a Vietnam War. And so I found my leo in opposition to the Vietnam War. So I did organizing not only on my campus, but other Catholic school campuses. And I was very lucky because the nuns, the sacred Belgium nuns from Belgium, Anyway, they were opposed to the war too. So I was very lucky that to be in an environment where that kind of voice was supported. And also after I left Sacred Hearts and went over to the University of Manoa, hang around with the wrong guys again, and we started talking about ethnic studies, the concept of ethnic studies, and that is telling our story our way as people from our different various communities, whether it be Hawaiian, Japanese, Chinese. And so we started talking, and we finally said we need to have our own department. They wanted to put us under the American Studies Department, and we said, "Aole, we want our own program, and we want to have it run by our community people as well as, people of color in the faculty." And so, to make a long story short, we were successful. We occupied Bachman Hall, and our demands were met. And so we have a legacy of continuing our stories at the University of Hawaii, and that kind of storytelling going out in the regular community as of today. And the other thing I wanted to touch upon was I was very fortunate when I was with the Nuclear Free and Independent Pacific to go to Tahiti. At the time, Tahiti was going to be bombed. There was going to be nuclear testing on an island called Mururoa. And so some of us, along with Soli Niheo, we went to Tahiti. And I'm sharing the story because I was fascinated. Even though we did not speak each other's language, when we found people who could translate and talk, we understood each other completely. And we found a lot of camaraderie and ohana in that kind of area too. And the last thing I want to do is talk about Kaho'olawe. These guys. When we landed, our intention was to stay on the Aina without getting caught for 3 days. For as long as we could, right? But within 3 days, they always knew where we were. They had an infrared contraption that was following us on the Aina. But then they finally brought in the military to come in and seek us out. But anyway, make a long story short, we went through that whole process of landing on the Aina, and to really live up to the thing of Aloha Aina, to protect the Aina. Yeah, bombing doesn't mean protecting the Aina, okay? So that all started with a concept, and we lived through it. Some of us got arrested. We went through the whole trial period, and that's what you got to do. So that's the last thing I want to say. Sometimes you need to do those kinds of things in order to get things to move and to happen and to make movement. But when you do it, do your homework. Okay. Yeah, do your homework. That's what George says. Do your homework. Talk to your family and to your friends, for support too, yeah. And do some inner spiritual thinking too, and connection with your ancestors, and talk to them. Let them talk to you, before you go to these places too. And once you're there, my last thing is to say, don't be afraid, because they're banking on you being afraid and being lost. So that to me is basically what I like to say. Thank you so much, y'all, for coming.
I was raised and being told that the American dream, what was I was supposed to strive for, the white picket fence, the good husband, and all the kids, and everything is going to be honky-dory. Just trust in the United States of America. Well, along the way, I began to realize that something is wrong with this picture, because when I look at my tutu, who was pure Hawaiian, she never fit in the picture. She looked kind of sad. She was sad because she knew the old way. So for me, and when I remember when I was in school, I went to Catholic school. Yeah. Holy Cross, you too. No. School. Yeah. Go on your knees. But that's right. But I was in school, and I would always get scolding because I wouldn't listen. They would tell me do something, no. So I would always have to go write detention, go pull weeds, write on the blackboard. Yeah. Kneel on your knees, go confession every week. But even back then, for me, it was like I was really blessed because, and I gotta say this, I gotta say mahalo to the upuna. Those that I don't know, but are there protecting me. Those that have gone before me, those that are in me, and those that I was so honored to walk with and to learn and be with them. So that's upuna. So I was lucky because my mom, we came from hula. And my aunties would come with my tutu and they would dance when I was about 5, 6 years old. They would dance in the parlor. So hula was a lifeline to me to begin to understand who I was. So through the hula, we never know Hawaiian, Nobody told us what the meaning of the songs were. I danced in a hotel for tourists, I did a Ayala Opele, but did I know who she was? Nobody told me. So there was this big thing that was missing in our educational system when we were growing up. I remember being in 8th grade, and one picture out of all the years that I was at the school was a picture of a kanaka wāhine. It was an 8 by 10, and I cannot even remember what they said about the Hawaiians, but I remember looking at that picture and saying, why is she so sad? Why is she dressed? She doesn't look happy. Who is she? How come I don't know who she is? So that always stuck in my mind. Who am I? My tutu look Hawaiian. I have Portuguese. Another one, so watch out with the mic now. Thank you, Dad. So I didn't look Hawaiian, so that was even harder for me. Because I would dance so that people say, are you Hawaiian? What? So you just glare at them. And people would always ask you, well, how much Hawaiian you get? And I would say, most of the time I would say, my tutu is from this aina. I'm from this aina. I don't care what color I look like. I'm from this aina because this is where my roots are. Yes, my dad is from Portugal, but he's from Portugal, but I love him. But I'm from this aina. So I go to school, go to high school. I'm still searching for who I am. I want to dance hula. I want to know what I'm dancing about. I want to be that dance. Little girls on Kauai, they all wanted to be beauty queens. And so I got pushed into that beauty queen scene and came to realize after that experience that it's not what they all tell us about. But then, through being Miss Hawaii, I met my husband. And that was the best thing in my whole life. I'm so grateful. So I met him on Molokai. I was there for some Miss Molokai pageant, and he came to a barbecue uninvited. Oh no, I know. The first time he saw me, I was on stage, and he saw me on stage. And then there were 2 other occasions that we met, and that's how it all started. He was at UH, I was at Church College, trying to find out again, who am I? Trying to learn about the other different Polynesian cousins that we have, So then we got married, didn't finish school. We got married, lived on Molokai, had our first daughter in 68. No, we got married in 68, 69, second daughter in 70. Yeah, and then Walter was looking for a job, and you know what? Politics, right? So politics stopped him from getting the job that he really deserved. So we had to go on welfare, okay? Welfare. He was a hunter, yay. Thank you for the deer that, he was able to catch and prepare for us. Yeah. So we survived, and my dad would always say, how come? How come you guys no go work? So I would tell him the story, and I said, Dad, America took away our freedom. America took away our lifestyle. They took away our culture. I don't want to be offensive, but I'm just sharing my feelings. So I'm on welfare because they owe me. That was my attitude. They owe me. They took everything else. They can help me out. Then there were places on Molokai that we couldn't go to visit. Like we couldn't go to the beaches because the largest landowner on Molokai was Molokai Ranch, and they closed access. So Emmett Haluli comes to Molokai. He's going to begin his practicing as a doctor. Comes to Molokai. We hang out with him. He hang out with us. And the questions begin to come. How come all these gates are locked? How come you folks cannot go to this side of the island? And so the next step was to get the community together. But the first thing we did was we went to get the kupuna. Walter, Emmett, George would go to the kupuna at the community centers. And they would ask the kupuna, were the gates locked when you folks were growing up? No. We remember going fishing with our mu'umu'us and chasing the fish and getting the fish in our mu'umu'us. So the kupuna were really, really, I always say, the foundation of our activism or fighting for aloha. So the kupuna believed in the things that we were doing and in us. And so they were always there. They were our foundation. We never did anything without their prayer, without their guidance, without their blessings. So it started with Hui Ala Loa, getting the people together, marching on those trails that were traditionally our marching trails that we had the right to have access to. And we opened gates. All of the gates now on the west side is open. Kaho'alave is, like these Waiwais, they're tough. I'm real quiet. So for me, it's like, for me, the land. Without the land, we have no life. And we get so carried away trying to survive that we forget to, look at her, thank all of the aumakua, the kupuna that are out there, because we need to give them back what they give us, and that's aloha. So we need to let them know that we are aware of their presence and that we need to mahalo them for what they give to us. And that's our kuleana. Our kuleana is to what? What is our kuleana as Hawaiian? Kanaka. It's to malama, the aina, all of it. All of it. There's no exclusions. It's all of it, small to big, and each other. Why? Right there. All this keiki, all the keiki. So, all I can say is that I'm really grateful for the things that my husband has taught me and, led us through. I'm so grateful for my family. We have 6 children, 17 grandchildren, and 7 great-grandchildren. Yeah, it is a village. And we all live in that village. Most of my kids and my mo'opuna are around me because I wanted my mo'opuna to be with us as we get older so that we can share with them the things that we've learned.
Sounds like on halal.
Yeah, almost. Yeah. But also, too, that, we're here in this area. And today, like back when we were growing up, we didn't know that there wasn't illegal overthrow of our kingdom. We didn't know those things. We had to learn it as we, came into the activism that we did to fight. But here at the university, we have so much of the truth that is being found and being taught. And I'm looking forward to that day. I'm so thankful for all the friends that we've met and we've learned from, but I'm just looking forward to that day when we can say, this is the kingdom. This is the Hawaiian kingdom. And I believe that, Hawaiians, the kupuna always said this, the Hawaiians have a lot to teach the rest of the world, and that's aloha. So that aloha is not exclusive, it's always inclusive. And it's going to include every single person who is here on this aina. No one is going to be excluded when this kingdom is restored to the kanaka. Mahalo.
Mahalo nui. We're gonna have a little bit of time to take some questions from the audience, but I thought maybe I'll kick it off with one question, because each of you talked about kupuna or other women of your generation, or even men, that held space for women's leadership, that held space for women to come into the movement and to take kuleana, to malama, to aloha aina. Are there any people that you want to, names of kupuna or others of your generation that you want to bring into the space? Other koa?
Yes, I want to bring in Auntie Marion Kelly, and also John Kelly from Save Our Surf. Save Our Surf was really a very heavy time when they were going out to surfers and telling surfers, hey, you have every right to fight for your waves. Yeah. So he was a great mentor and teacher. And of course, Kahuna Sam Lono, I learned from him a lot. I went up to his place on Haiku many times to understand the way of seeing things through the Hawaiian way of looking at the world. And there's some others, but I'll bring them up later. You guys.
Okay, kupuna from Molokai, love them, love them, love them. They were everything to us. Auntie Clara Ku from Ho'olehua, she was the one with the cane saying, you folks better listen and you better be good. And she always said, imua. Auntie Mary Lee, soft-spoken spirit, when she led us in prayer, she would end with Hawaii Aloha. She told us, don't sing that song slow. This is not a funeral. Sing it with joy. It's a joyful song. And then Auntie Lani Kapuni from East End of Molokai, she manaleo, she spoke Hawaiian. And she was always sharing things from her garden. She always had food on her aina. There was also Maridi, Rose, Uncle Rose and Uncle Bill Wainui, Auntie Emma DeFries. Yeah, Auntie Emma was our spiritual leader. Uncle Harry Mitchell, Auntie Mayhel. I know there's so many that's going through my head, but all those kupuna, yeah, they were the foundation. They were the leaders. They were the ones.
Oh, I feel like I'm in that genealogy already. Kupuna. My kupuna was a hell of a woman. Her name was Alice Namakelua. She was my kumuhula. And guess where I was dancing? Parks and Recreation, free. Mamara no had money for pay, so we had free. Mrs. Alice Namakelua was a Wāhine that worked for city and county way back in those days. I'm very proud. I'm going to tell you how old I am, because I am very proud that Keakua gave me this life. I just made 80 in September. Thank you. Thank you. And this is because of Alice Namakilua. We never know, like Loretta said, how to speak Hawaiian because we were told not to speak Hawaiian. We were told in school, no, you don't speak Hawaiian. Mrs. Alice Namakilua told us to speak Hawaiian. In the Parks and Recreation at Booth Park in Paoa. She was a woman, I'm telling you, tell me about. You know, when she taught hula, she had one momo leg, you know. Her leg was indented because of an accident. So she used to always wear a green skirt, because that was, you have to wear, and one white blouse. That was mandatory working in city and county. But when she taught us the hula, and we never ho'olohe, she would take that ukulele sideways, can run to whoppa. She would hit us for a good reason. She never wanted that our mo'olelo to make. And us guys kids, so, no, like listen, looking at the boys, making eyes, she used to get so mad with us. Then finally, I started to listen to what she had to say. Because she was already old, she kupuna. And you know what she said to me? And this, now I'm 80 now. This is when I was a kid. She said, why you come hula? I said, oh, auntie, I learn the hula. I don't like dance lovely hula hands. I tired that song, lovely hula hands. She said, I want you to listen when I strum the ukulele. And I want you to listen why I teach you folks the hula. And she was the only lady that taught us Hawaiian. We never had it in school. We had it at home, but we didn't have it 100% at home. We didn't. Why? Because my dad couldn't speak Hawaiian where he worked. He couldn't. My mother was Portuguese. These are the things that was embedded to me by Alice Namakilua. Learn Hawaiian. When I strum that ukulele, it's not because you guys going to take, 1, 2, to the left and to the right and then ami. No. Each step is what you take as kanakamaole, as Hawaiian. Each step represents the land. Your hands represents the atmosphere, the sun, the stars, the love, the pu'uvai. Where's your pu'uvai? She said, we don't know what is pu'uvai. She teach her, what is pu'uvai? Your heart. That's what she meant. Mrs. Alice Namakilua, who had to work for the city and county and wear green and white outfits to teach Hawaiian. Then I looked at as my Hawaiian race as very different. Why? Why are we so, just cannot go all the way? We got to hold back a little bit. It's because she had to make a living. She had to go by the rules of the city and county that was run by our mayors and our governors. And you know how hurting that was? Because we used to go dance at Kapiolani Park, the old Kapiolani Park. No more, they broke them down already. They broke them down, they put one shell, looked like New Zealand. Mini New Zealand kind, whatever. But that was Kapiolani Park, where all the hulas came out. But listen, when you have somebody special in your life, whoever it may be, mine, to tell you the truth, as I grew up, was Einstein. I loved that man. I never understand him, but I loved that man. He confused me so much as but I still love that man. Because that's the first time I knew how to split two atoms by reading his book. And he was such a man, but he was, But still yet, you see what I mean? There is somebody in all of you guys' lives, right here in this audience, that has somebody special. Learn from them, even though they passed on. Listen to what they taught you. Because Alice Namakelua, again, I will tell you, the greatest kumuhula on earth. Today, we are thankful that we have our kumuhulas that make the haumana learn how to dance and know what they're dancing, you know, because sometimes, you know, when you watch other people dance and it's called, you know, or the moon, they make the moon on the ground, you know, but that's okay, that's okay. The moon is up, right? Not on the ground. But, you know, please, this is with all sincerity. If your children take hula or one of the haumanas in the halau, listen to them. Listen to them. Sometimes they like come home, tell you something. Listen, ho'olohi. Because they're learning and they're going to bring back, like Loretta said, someday the Hawaiian Kingdom. And it's going to take them to do it. Because we are pow. And half of you guys inside here are just, little bit okay, but, you know, you're getting there, right? But that's okay. Education, it's like my mother said, every day of your life, you make a friend. You have a friend. You meet people, you make a friend. You don't even know them from Adam, but you make a friend. So every day in your life, education has one good point. Until we die, we've been educated. So like I said again, in your folks' lives, there is one person that you folks cannot forget. Pass it on. I did. I passed it on. Mrs. Alice Namakelua. And to close this, there was another person that I think we all loved. It was Kekuni Blaisdell. A man of integrity. A doctor of integrity. He not only healed us, but he loved us to the max. So always remember that. There is somebody, and hey, you know, us Hawaiians, we're not stupid, man. We're smart. We're really smart. And even the Portuguese, Loretta.
My dad told me.
See, are smart too, because you know, you got to remember now, I am Portuguese, I'm Andrade, one Portuguese, okay? When we made the ukulele, you guys Hawaiians didn't steal them. And remember, the Portuguese made the cement ship. Did you guys know that? The Portuguese made the cement ship, and guess who didn't steal them? Please forgive me, the Japanese. They stole our ship, the Hawaiians stole our guitar, they stole our, and what we had left, we had to can our own guava. Shame on you guys, take all our stuff. Hail the Portuguese. I love you guys, and my heart, thank you. And Noi, this is the happiest. I never thought in 80 I would be sitting here and talking story with everybody. I don't even know, you know. But it's okay. Thank you. Mahalo anui loa kākou. Aloha.
Mahalo nui. I think what we'll do, hopefully we'll have time for questions, but there are some young generation Wāhine koa who have some words of mahalo for each of you. And so I think we'll go to that next. And are you guys okay staying up here? Okay, awesome. So if you guys can get ready out there, and two things I want to do before we hear from these awesome young Wāhine koa. One is to say mahalo also to a number of people who have helped bring this book into being. Mahalo, of course, to the Wāhine koa who have shared their stories, as well as all the Wāhine koa who will share with you tonight. I also want to thank UH Press, particularly Masako, Carol, Joel, who are here tonight. Emma, thank you for publishing the book. And also mahalo nui to the Center for Biographical Research, Craig, Aiko, Anjali, John. Thank you for your support of this project and believing in it from the beginning. Mahalo nui to Kumu John Osorio and Hawaii Nui Akea for being willing to have this book in the series, to Kumu John for really seeing the value of this project and why it was important that these stories be told through the Hawaii Nui Akea series, Mahalo Nui, as well as co-sponsoring the food for tonight and for all of us enjoying. So thank Hawaii Nui Akea for that. I want to thank artist Joy Enomoto for the beautiful cover art. Not only did she create this piece, but Joy created several versions of the cover that we ended up finally having to land on this one. Not having to, but landing on this one. But she's also been gracious to let us use some of the other images in various ways. And so you might see some of the postcards around, those are Joy's art as well. I want to also thank Joy's partner, Kim Kompak, who allowed some of the interview material that she did with Auntie Terry for her dissertation is also included in the book. Photographers, Ed Greavy, who's here tonight, Franco Salmeragi, who's not here, Terafi Tiroa Bosch, Kai Markel, Ruben Carrillo, all of them donated their photography for the book, as well as the Ridi Ohana's personal collection of photographs. Mahalo nui for the Ridi Ohana. And then there were several grad students who helped me at various points along the way. Ken Cooper, Kahala Johnson, Mahina Tutur, and Liina Hiva all had hands in the book at different points. Waiwai, mahalo nui for this beautiful space. Mahalo also to my second mom, M. Winchester, who is here and helped with decorations. Mahalo nui. Patricia Amaral Buskirk, who is recording tonight's event, as well as Pekuna Hong, who is still photography for tonight. Thank you all very much. And then also Kumule Lani Basham, who gave the beautiful opening olis. Mahalo everyone for being here and making this night possible. There's one, obviously, Wāhine of the four authors who's not here, Auntie Moani in body, although she is here in spirit. And so I wanted to just read actually one little clip of an editorial from her paper Aloha Aina that she wrote in 2012, because I think this is something that she would want heard tonight. And then we'll get into the words from our Wāhine koa. Remember, Pohakuloa is on our Hawaiian Ceded Lands Trust, and the lease is up in 2026. At that time, the U.S. military is obligated to remove all of their lethal, dangerous, toxic opala, just like on Kaho'olawe. Once Hawaiians prospered in beautiful Makua Valley, Oahu, today it is uninhabitable due to military training. Can we expect anything else for the center of this island of Hawaii? OHA has asked for a 90-day extension on submitting the comments to the Pohakuloa expansion, EIS, which ended December 2011. The review process for the Osprey and Cobra helicopters is now at hand, and we insist on face-to-face public meetings in Hilo, Waimea, and Kona. It is fact that historical and cultural studies have been done this far are inadequate and incomplete as admitted in the programmatic agreement dealing with Pohakuloa. We Native Hawaiians, our cultural practitioners of Hawaii Island and all these islands deserve no less. Ua mau ke ea o ka aina I ka pono. So with that, I want to invite the first two women who are going to be honoring the four kupuna, Nanea Lo and Hiva Ka'apuni, are going to be honoring Auntie Moani. So nanea.
Aloha mai kākou. O na neo ko inoa no Papakolea mai ao no ho'ao ma Kaimuki. I'm Nanea Lo, and I'm from Papakolea, but I currently live in Kaimuki. I was actually really shocked when Kumunoi hit me up and asked me if I could speak about Auntie Wāhine Keala. Right away, I responded in the email, of course. And this was a few months ago, and ever since then, I kept reading the chapter, watching YouTube videos, because I had never met her before, but I was so excited. And Kumunoi told me that my spirit reminded her of her. So I just thought to myself, like, wow, like, what am I gonna talk about? How am I gonna do it? And so early 2 a.m. this morning, I wrote this. But yeah, like, I had never met Auntie Moani, but when I read what she had told my kumu in this puke and what she had lived through, I wish I did. I saw her on TV when she testified in 2014 against the Department of Interior. Everything that she's been through and everything she stood for is everything that I strive to be. Auntie Wāhine Keala has always been a fierce, courageous, firebrand woman who stands for what she believes in. A Native woman's identity, my identity, her identity, is so kupa'a. We as women embody so many things. It is within our bodies that we carry generational change, we carry generational love, we carry generational ike, as well as in our minds we carry strength, dignity, perseverance, and resilience. Waking up every day and deciding to live in our truths as Kanaka Maoli women is resistance. Resistance to the colonial powers of America. Resistance that we are our identities, and it is so necessary. That's something that through this book is what I felt. I felt her deep, unwavering love, their unwavering love of our nation, our connections and us, her ohana, her lahui. In this chapter, Auntie talks about Kalama Valley, her being in Oha, and her trials and tribulations with facing diversities and opposing opinions. She faced all of that, but within her life, she had so much reciprocal, fulfilling relationships. I used to be so scared and afraid to go to events like this and show up at Malama Aina work days. I was scared because everything was so unknown to me. The unknown is something as an activist, feminist, scholar, daughter, auntie, Kanaka Maoli, I have finally become comfortable with. Because I'm not alone. I'm not alone in my journey. She was not alone in her journey. All your faces here today, all your souls, all your voices, all your laughter and love, I would have never known about if I didn't say yes and come to this thing. What I do know is that throughout my journey to be who I am, a Hawaiian woman, there has been so many ho'ailona of that I'm exactly where I should be in life every time. Things always tend to come full circle and have a purpose. Everything is interconnected. Auntie Moani's story, her ano, her leo, her love, her choices to step out into the unknown and live her truth has helped to shine light on my own truth. I am forever indebted to know that this mana wahine, along with my tutuhine, my mama, my kupuna, walk the same aina as me, share the same koko as me, and care so deeply as I do for a love that sometimes feels so invisible to some, but so tangible to me, just as her. I'm a master's student in the Department of Urban and Regional Planning at the University of Hawaii at Manoa, And I read this the other day, and it made me think of her and all of the mana wahine. For activists, theory is not static, unchanging doctrine, but an understanding that it is informed by practice and enriched by reflection of daily life. I'm confident of the kanakamoli I am today because being an activist is aloha aina. Being who I am is what my ancestors practiced, and I am what a worthy Hawaiian looks like today. I am the continuing generation of what Auntie Ani Keala was, and these wahine koa are coming up, and I'm proud to stand up here and represent that in practice. Kupa'a.
Aloha mai kākou. Mahalo na leo for your beautiful words, and mahalo kumanoi for having us all here tonight to celebrate these 4 wonderful anake and wahine koa. I wrote a poem. It's called What Only Wind Can Carry. There is a place deep in a valley we go, where we lose our minds to find our soul. Although a narrow place, there is a depth there that even soil ceases to fill, as if to remind us of our place among the trees and the role we have to stand with them, like them. There is a place deep in a valley we go, a place that welcomes all but longs for only a few to stay. A place that does not always demand we tread lightly. You've been here. When the valley called, you went, following a voice that kept you company as you trailblazed. A voice you soon recognized as your own. A voice you barely knew could silence oceans and raise hell. But with this voice, you sang to the world the truths of past, present, and future. Of battles won and battles lost, both always celebrated but never over. Of how to fight with fists raised only in reverence. Of land and love, and how thin a line you learned to draw between the two. You armed yourself with a song of resistance, one only you and the wind could sing. A melody never foreign to our ears. A melody that we will hold in our fists and translate to the world the only way we can. Aloha aina. There is a place deep in a valley we go, where we still hear an echo of this song of resistance, where we still hear the wind and you, Anake Moani Keala. May we never leave this place. Mahalo.
Aloha mai kākou. Aloha e nā wahine koa. So if you know Auntie Terry, which everybody here knows Auntie Terry, you know that she's not one that likes to have the spotlight on her and bring attention to herself, but too bad. So we've got like a couple minutes, 3 to 4 minutes here to honor you, Auntie Terry. And I'm about to talk about some of the things that you've taught us and what you mean to us. And I know that you'd rather we honor you by using these 3 minutes to talk about resisting the use of the Kohala Coast for U.S. military special ops drone training. I know you'd rather we use this time to bring attention to the attempted genocide in West Papua and ask everyone to raise the Morning Star flag in support of West Papuans' fight for their lands and the No Bases movement in Okinawa. I know you would rather we spend this 3 minutes initiating, organizing resistance to RIMPAC 2020. And don't worry, we will do that. Okay, and we're going to hold that space right here. But if we're going to resist RIMPAC with vigor, link arms for independence across the Pacific, and say no to drone practice in one of our most sacred national coastlines, we need to take a minute and reflect on how you teach us to do that. And when you read the book, you'll understand some of these things. So to the woman with the beautiful Hawaiian nose, you don't need a bullhorn. Now, I know you like a bullhorn just as much as any of us, but you've taught me to be suspicious of iconography and in the movement, and this has led me to understand even its harms. You've taught us that there is a place for performative resistance, for speech making and fancy threads, but that to make change, you have to do more than perform. You have to work. You have to read things you don't want to read. You have to talk to people you don't want to talk to. You have to study things you don't want to study. You have to write things that you'd rather not be writing. When the speech is over and the bullhorn is turned off, you are still watching. What you gonna do now? To the woman who insisted that her black Ka'ahumanu society mu'umu'u be embroidered with a big-ass purple peace sign, which I believe which is why I believe she wasn't really active in that society that much longer. You've taught us to reach across issues, across centers, across focuses, and bridge and build without compromising our principles. You've taught us the difference between principles and dogma. You've taught us, you've been someone who we look to in a movement that is sometimes suffocating with a narrow, ethnocentric focus, to remain anchored in intersectional resistance, in commitment to other indigenous peoples' issues, and in the commitment to the freedom of all oceanic Pacific nations. You've taught us that our movement suffers when we vacate class from our analysis. You've taught us that we need to use the language of the people, find the people's love language, and movement build through that. You've taught us to meet people where they're at and find beauty in their offerings. You've met us where we're at with love and open arms. To the woman who told her own school's nuns and her classmates that they better come out against the Vietnam War, you are our connection to an amazing group of Hawaiian elders, of kupuna, so many of whom are in the room right now, who tell us that yes, it is Hawaiian to fight. It is Hawaiian to speak up. It is Hawaiian to actively resist. A group of elders of kupuna who have clarity in their politics, and who, as part of that clarity, insist that we are clear about where we draw the line in the sand, that we are clear that our work to revive our culture and language and connection to the Aina also depends on our resistance to militarism and imperialism and its various interlocking systems of oppression. To have kupuna that insists that our analysis never stop with ourselves, with one people, with one island, with one issue, with one victory, but that we continue to connect out, to build movement, and to have our sights set on decolonization, on demilitarization, on independence, on peace, on liberation. To have kupuna that demand that from us means everything to us. Because at times, we, those who you've mentored, pushed, challenged, driven crazy at moments, but most importantly, supported, sometimes we wonder if we fit into the lahui, if we fit into it with all of its multiplicity and with all of its diversity, if it has room for this kind of activism. And sometimes we look around and we feel like we don't have reference points among our kupuna to know. But you are that kupuna for many of us. You make us feel like we fit, like we and all of our politics and all of our flaws and all of our humor and our sometimes illegible dreams for something bigger not only has a place in the broad work of the Lahui, but a sound place. Auntie Terry, the work you do is amazing. We are committed to it forever, and we're committed to supporting in the ways that we can, like you have, the efforts, growth, curiosities, questions, and activism of young people working to find their place in this hot mess we call the Hawaiian movement. We love you, Auntie Terry. Mahalo.
Well, it's been a full circle, I think, to be here. I'm very honored to be here and honor Auntie Terry. I first met Auntie Terry when she, Gigi Miranda, and I went to the Philippines together to participate in the East Asia U.S. Puerto Rico Women's Network Against Militarism gathering in the Philippines. I've been there before, and I knew about the poverty. I've seen it in my family. I see it in the streets. But it was different to go with a political purpose and see the islands from the perspective of Native women deep into anti-bases and demil organizing. Women seeking genuine sovereignty through getting rid of US military bases and demanding that the US clean up the toxics they left behind. This really changed my own worldview. Because I was born and raised in Hawaii, materially comfortable life, Americanized Ilocano in a US settler Hawaii. But going to the Philippines with Auntie Terry made me feel the limitation of my perspective of Hawaii. Especially when we tried to write the Hawaii Country Report and Gigi and I couldn't get the story straight with Auntie Terry. And that was where I had to learn to listen. We went to field sites on Luzon Island, Philippines. Auntie Terry went to Madaptap, Gigi went to Mapanike, and I went to Olongapo. It was in Olongapo where I met an organization called Buklod to learn from formerly prostituted women, organizing other women working in the bars to create alternatives to the prostitution industry around Subic Naval Base. Gigi went to Mapanike to meet the Malaya Lolas, elder Filipina women who survived the comfort women's system during the World War II Japanese occupation. Already at their senior ages, many of them had passed and a few remained. Yet they continued to demand reparations from sexual violence from the Japanese government. Auntie Terry went to Madapdap village to meet the communities who were relocated to live on former Clark Air Force Base. The People Power movement had evicted the US military base from Clark and Subic back in the 90s. Local communities had settled on Clark and they drank the water. And the children were born with deformities, cerebral palsy, adults died of cancer. And the community was part of a movement demanding the US clean up the toxic waste left behind on the former bases. They were part of campaigns to challenge the Visiting Forces Agreement, a US-Philippine joint military agreement that allowed the military bases on the islands. I personally felt a numbness after this trip. It took me many years to figure out how to hold the responsibility to resist militarization in the Philippines and here in Hawaii, where I was currently living. But Auntie Terry was always clear. She pushed us to report back to the community what we found. She put her pictures of the Madapdap children onto the Yahoo Groups page to remind us of what we learned. She taught us how to have empathy for all people suffering under militarization, either behind the gun or in front of the gun. She taught us how to use information, to organize ourselves, to use tools available to us, to fight back against militarization here in Hawaii and abroad. Honestly, there were times when I felt uncomfortable and angry to have my eyes opened to these truths and the courage that was necessary to respond. Sometimes I felt resentment because I could no longer hide under this numbness to disconnect. But Auntie Terry was really asking me to question this numbness of alienation from my own Filipino people, from my own history, and also the history of Kanaka Maoli and their history and how we are connected. Auntie Terry modeled how to connect. She shared how she was born in Oakland, and when she moved to Hawaii, she learned to connect with her family. She showed us how to stand up for the country that you love in a way that you fearlessly stand up and speak up against the militarization of this hine. At the same time, we talk about the militarization of other places. She took us to her ancestral lands of Mokapu, and together with a group of women, we stood on the shore and we held hands while she puled for all of our ancestors to come together to give us strength. She would teach us her cultural values, and she would ask me, what is mine? She would understand that we were this young generation of diasporic Filipinos, and she would always support us in our poetry, in our music, and in our creativity. And she taught me what is aloha. Even if there is militarization, through militarization, there is still aloha. And she taught us how to truly love oneself and how to love each other, fiercely and with deep principles and commitment. She has been there for our communities, Filipino, Kanaka Maoli, Okinawan, Korean, Haole, Japanese, Chamorro, and others, to struggle for unity while loving and standing up for the differences that we are. She showed me that by doing this, we will remember the struggles of our ancestors and find the will to end the militarization of our lands. Mahalo, Auntie Terry, for your mentorship and your long-lasting friendship. You have been such an important person in my life.
Alo mai kako, o wau no o Heoli Mele Kalani Osorio. I have the great honor, okay, hold on. I never dance, Auntie. I have the great honor of sharing some words of mahalo for Auntie Loretta. I met in 2010, I worked doing like environmental, cultural consulting, kind of random, but most of what I did is when Uncle Walter was in town, I was his personal driver. I took him to go get ammo for his sons. I took him to go look at crossbows. Like, it's the first time I've ever been around weapons in my entire life. My mom was thrilled. And you know when you meet someone who's like larger than life and you like, oh, this person is so special, but you can't quite put your finger on it. And then you meet their lovely wife, and then you're like, oh, I get it. I see the special. Uncle Walter, you're plenty special. But then I met Auntie Loretta, and she's the kind of person that you always know when she's in the room, right? I walked in and I was like, Auntie Loretta's not here yet. She came. So I wrote a poem because that's what people expect of me. And it was really hard to write, Auntie, because I wanted it to be perfect, and so I couldn't start over and over. I just couldn't start. And it's not perfect. It's not anywhere close, and so I almost feel bad sharing it, but it shares some mo'olelo we've shared together. So this is for you, Auntie. It's called Miss Kaho'olawe. The first time I met Miss Kaho'olawe, Loretta Wāhine Ha'aheo Pereira Riddy, I was her guest. She came to Ho'olehua Airport in a white Volvo sedan, same one my father drove back home. There's a rumor that I broke that car. It is not true. Offered me a foil-covered plate of scrambled eggs, Portuguese sausage, and rice. Shoyu and ketchup all over. Same kind my mother makes back home makes sense. She became one hell of a makua to me. Back then, I did not know she was Miss Kaho'olawe. Did not know she was on the second trip of Kanaka to occupy our beloved Kohima Lama Lama. Didn't know she could knock the hell out of a golf ball half buzzed on Corona and lemon. Yes, lemon. How she was always ready to take this young Wāhine to class, I didn't know because I broke the first rule of Aloha Aina. I didn't do my homework. Good thing Moloka'i is always ready to teach you. Auntie Loretta could show you best, and I learned quick how to navigate my city, slicking skin across hardpan, red dirt, sliding off into Moana. The secret, listen more than you speak, and don't go where you're not invited. That weekend, she said to me in all her kind seriousness, "You're not gonna last till Monday," and chuckled. "Guarantee you'll change your flight." I wanted to prove her wrong. Wanted her to see me as someone who could grow here after decades fighting through concrete, but of course I didn't. I'm Honolulu's most familiar city light, so instead I flew back Sunday night. But Auntie, she had me learning my first Moloka'i lesson that Loretta knows best. And of course she does, because she had the best kupuna. She grew up in a movement that began with remembering our connection to each other, to Aina, to something greater. Back then, she danced her testimony, reminded us what it means to put this work back in the body, always, and by her grace, she protected every pu'uhonua she was ever offered so that we would have a safe space to grow generations later. These days, Auntie raises the next generation of wall builders, of wind callers, of truth speakers, and halua growers. These days, Auntie shows us what it means to truly ho'oulu lahui, helps us owamo this kuleana by learning the true practice of aloha aina. Most importantly, these days, Auntie never forgets to hold us close when we need it. Back then, I didn't know these things. Only knew the smile, the sweet sound of her voice, the grace of her hula, her generosity. Back then, I didn't know she had been building pu'uhonua for me I couldn't see yet. But she was patient, like the best kumu, and always welcomed me with a smile into her arms, her home, her Moloka'i, and I thank my kupuna for making me worthy to be her guest, because back then I didn't quite know how lucky I was. Didn't realize she would become a central figure in my mo'olelo about what a good Wāhine can do when she says without words, "Watch me make this thing right." I didn't know she would be a kupuna to me. She would be the kupuna to me she was lucky enough to be gifted a lifetime before. I didn't know she was Miss Kaho'olawe, Miss Moloka'i, Miss Aloha Aina. Didn't know she could make Miss a badge of honor. I didn't know, but I do now, and so do you. Her name is Loretta Kawahine Ha'aheo Pereira Riddy. She is Miss Kaho'olawe, Kawahine Ha'aheo, pride of these islands. Mai poina.
Hanai ke aloha kākou. My name is Waiwai. I'm from the Aina of Manoa. I'm so honored to be able to come and stand here in front of you today to talk about and mahalo Auntie Loretta. My mom, Dr. Noelani Goodyear-Ka'opua, she came to me the summer of my junior year of high school, and she asked me over the summer, she said, "Can you spend your summer transcribing these articles and interviews from Auntie Moani?" And I was so honored, and since then I've been so excited to see the book, and now it's finally here, and I'm so excited, and I'm so proud of my mom and all of the work that she's done. So I just wanted to share a quick mo'olelo about Auntie Loretta, one that always comes to mind when I think about her and when Mom had asked me to share. It's actually the first time that I had ever been to the Riddy compound in Ho'olehua.
I was going there with mom brought a bunch of students, and I just tagged along, and we were going up to their hale, and I just remember we got out of the car. It was my first time. I grew up on the stories of Uncle Walter and Auntie Loretta and all the amazing things they did in a PKO, and I was like 5 or 6 years old, maybe 7. And I was so excited. I was like, oh, I get to meet the Riddies, like these so amazing people. And I came out of the car and I greeted them, and she's like, Hina, it's so nice to see you. And immediately I was like, oh, Auntie Loretta knows my name. She knows who I am. And I felt so happy, and she gave me the biggest hug. And she offered me lilikoi popsicles, and she was like, you want to play volleyball? Let's go play volleyball in the yard. And we spent the afternoon just enjoying each other's company and talking and enjoying all of their aina. And then when we were going to leave, she gave us this basket of goodies from her garden, and all of this just aloha that she had to share with us, and it always sticks with me, and every time I think of Auntie, that's immediately what I think of. And from then on, every time that I see her at the Capitol or at different events, or even back on Molokai, she would always give me a big hug, and it would always remind me of that first moment that I met her, and the aloha that she shared that very first time. So with that, I just wanted to share a quick part of the book in her section. It's talking about her experiences with kupuna on Kaho'olawe and how they were her foundation and their foundation as the young people then taking up this struggle. And so she just, here it is. In the evening, the kupuna were lying down on the sand. When it was time to go to sleep, they took the leaders, Walter, Emmett, George, and they made the guys sleep between them. Throughout the fight for Kaho'olawe, the kupuna did that almost every time we ever slept on the beach, like at Ma'alaya on Maui. At Ma'alaya, there was a beach on the bottom, and when we would be down there, the kupuna would always bring the boys to sleep between them. That was our relationship with the kupuna. That's how they would sleep. They always made sure they took care of our leaders. They always took care of us. They always prayed. They made sure the spiritual part was okay. They made sure they knew when we were wrong, and they made sure we knew how to correct what was wrong. We always looked to them, and they always allowed us to make mistakes. We would come to them, tell them what happened, and they would tell us, okay, well, you gotta fix it. For us, it was an honor to be in their presence. They were all different, and they each had their own character, but they were all important and vital, each one of them. So that part just really struck me, and it totally reminded me of you, Auntie. It's always an honor to be in your presence, and it's always an honor to get to speak to you and just get to hug you whenever possible. I'll always keep that with me, and I just wanted to mahalo you and also the other people here. Mahalo to you guys. I'm just completely speechless. I was raised in the stories of you guys and the mana and the struggles, and I will always carry that with me wherever I go and with all the things that I do throughout my life. Paole ke aloha no'ai. Mahalo.
Are going to be honoring Auntie Maxine.
Ano ai ke aloha iakapu. Wau keia o le inahiwa, no hilo I ka uakani lehua. Kind of similar to what Hina and pretty much everybody else said earlier. I am super I feel so privileged to be able to share tonight. I have also been privileged to be able to have worked with my kumu and my mentor, Professor Nilani, on this project. So I didn't know Anake Maxine prior to this. A little ha'alulu because, speaking about somebody you're not really kama'aina, but, I wanted to do the best job that I could. But after listening to this tonight, I think I can kind of see why Noi would have chosen me. So Anake, I have been fortunate enough to be in my first year of law school. So I didn't get God's school too. So that kind of resonates with me. I didn't realize that that was your problem. This is for you. Auhea oe I ku'u makamaka o ke aloha aina. E alo ku nei ke ko'e kaua ki pu'upu'u o Waimea. Mai ke kua hiwi hauanu, e alo ku mai ana me ke hau o Mauna Kea. A hiki loa aku I ka mole olu ole hua velino pumihana. Wahi a kahiko, I ke kaua e ike iai, na hoaloha a me na kanaka koa. A ua ike ia no ia ano vivo ole e pono ai ke koa. Ia ano like no e ku nei I kahi Maxine, Lani, Suarez, Andrade, Kaha'ulelio. He leo ho'ohanohano keia ia oe. Kahi ka ea e noke mauana no ka pono o ko kako aina ka mahao. Komo aku no I loko o nei alei, na manao e papahi ai ka mea hie nona ia ano hano. E like ho'i me ke komo ana mai o ke ala laukoa, ke ia laukoa, I loko o ke ia haku miki oi ana. He ku ho'ailona wale ia, I ka mauhana a pau. Mai na aina o na vai a kāne, ma ke ko'olau o na pali hauli o ahu nei. A hiki aku I haki o awa o Kanaloa. A ho'e aku I po aku loa. O ka aina ho'i e noho nei I waina o Mauna Kea me Mauna Loa. O na Mauna e lua ho'i e kauai na maka o lino. O kako po e aloha aina. E a'o o ia mauhana ao I loko no o ke ia mau makahiki e hiala I hala I hunei. Maka waile ana I ke ala e ho'o mau aku ai mako hanauna hou. O kahi ulu koa ho'okahi I kanu iai ka ano oia I o ke aloha aina e nā kupuna I hele mamua o kakou. O ia mea o ke aloha aina, kai kuni pa'a iai kuna manao I nei koa, I lau wale ai kāna hana, mana papahele o ka hale aha o lelo, a peia like pu, mana holowe o ka aha ho o kolokolo, a mana aina like ole. A o ia manao, mana palapala kāna vai o Hawaii kulaiwi nei. Ka ho'opa ana ia mea ko'i lua ole, a sila pa'a ia kuna manao I mea e hiki ai ke noke hou aku I ka hana e pono ai ko kako aina aloha. Me oi ke aloha e Anake Maxine. E ka pika vai olu e kena ai ka pu'u.
Where she went? She's telling me she went to the mountain. To the mountain. Woo. Learn.
Okay. Aloha mai kako. Half a day from Wāhine. My name is Keisha Borha Kititsokauhu. kind of just, Auntie Mac, I just kind of wrote it like a letter, so I'm just going to read it to you. Okay. So, aloha, Auntie Mac. I'm a Chamorro daughter of Wāhine in the Mariana Islands. We met earlier this year at your house in Waimea. I was with other folks from Women's Voices Women Speak. I didn't know you yet, but Auntie Terry said you were her good friend and that she really wanted us to meet you. And I'm so happy that she did. It was such a precious time. During those few hours that our group got to sit with you in your living room, eating pineapple upside-down cake and looking at old photos, I remember feeling the immense fire and passion, the deep care and love you have for your home, and the fight to protect your home in whatever ways you could. I also remember feeling rejuvenated and inspired. I thought to myself, I hope to be as fierce and funny as Auntie Mac. I hope I'll always have that kind of energy to protect my home. Auntie Mac, you are phenomenal. You've done, well, you all are, actually. You've done amazing, meaningful community work from the Welfare Coalition, anti-evictions, water rights, and anti-development on the windward side to participating as a protector on the fifth landing of Koho'olawe. And most recently, your successful lawsuit against the DLNR for its failure to hold the military accountable in Pohakuloa. Yes. So inspiring. Of the many stories you shared, one that stood out to me was when you worked as a cafeteria worker. My dad worked in a cafeteria too, so yeah, it stood out to me. And how you were often given dissatisfying ingredients, but you would do your best to make the best meals you could for the children. You also mentioned that the school administration said that you weren't supposed to give the kids more than one serving of food. But you defied the rules and fed the kids anyway, knowing that many of them may not have had much to eat outside of school and you didn't want them to be hungry. That story and the role you played in it served as a reminder that no matter what we are doing in our everyday lives, we should always use our voices and take appropriate actions to fight for what's right, especially when it comes to our most vulnerable communities like our children. Tonight, I wanted to tell you that while you have inspired and will continue to inspire many Kanaka Maoli, I also want you to know that your magic, your energy, your strength, and your undeterred drive to get things done are inspiring for others like myself who come from other islands and communities. And while our lands might be different, we share the same ocean. And we share very similar situations, so your stories and your mana'o are definitely not taken lightly. One of my favorite quotes from you is, "We gotta fight. Why do we have to fight every bloody day? Every frickin' day we need to fight and fight and fight just to keep our place in this world today." I've been thinking about what fighting can look like, and I realize that it can look like a lot of things. We can be engaged in all kinds of fights at different times in our lives. How then can we respond to our kuleana to fight? Another question comes to mind. It's a question that you asked our group when we visited you in Waimea. After telling us about your experiences as a cafeteria worker, you asked, "What's on your menu?" There are a number of ways we can interpret this question, and I'd like to offer one. It's important to look at what is happening in our communities and see what we can offer them. We have to talk to people and figure out what needs to be done, because this kind of fighting, this kind of work, we cannot do it alone. Everyone needs to work together on the menu to achieve the common goal, to eat. So mahalo nui, sandangkul na si Diyos maasi and Timac from the bottom of my heart. And I just wanted to read part of a poem I'm writing. Hawaii is like a very special place to me, and all of these women have impacted me in some way. You are Wāhine koa. In Chamorro, we call you Futsan Famalauan, the fiercest, most energetic women. And you inspire, again, not just people here, but people beyond, and 7.5-hour flight away. So I'm just going to read part of a poem, and it's for all of you. Hawaii hugwaid sahau. Hawaii, I love you. Sandangkul na si Diyos maasi for raising me in my consciousness, for nurturing me through the pains of the crisis of my identity and the ignorance of my history and your history, and through the beauty of the growth of my resistance, for teaching me aloha aina, for showing me malama aina. Thank you for the lessons you've taught me. Be fierce, don't give up, stand strong like koa, move forward, talk to people, get other perspectives. Unless they don't want to talk or listen, then never mind. Don't be afraid to get arrested. Pick your head up. Have confidence in yourself and what you have to say. And there is love in your land. Show her you love her too. Hawaii huguai zahau. Though I am a daughter of another island, I am also the daughter of our ocean, and you helped raise me. We're connected by intellectual genealogies and entangled solidarities. We are woven for life. Thank you.
Pau ole ke aloha ia o ko pakahi. Mahalo nui e nā wahine koa. Mahalo nui e nā wahine koa I kaika. We're going to start to bring this part of the program to a close. Please stay. We'll be here for as long as you can stay with music and all kinds of opportunities for conversation. I wanted to sort of close this part with a pule, and I thought that it would actually be really appropriate for each of you and for many of you gathered here for Women's Voices, Women Speak to offer that pule. And this is actually a poem, a statement that Women's Voices, Women Speak, who Auntie Terry has worked with for a long time, actually composed. And so my dear friend Aiko Yamashiro is going to read this statement as a closing pule. But I'd like for all of us to stand in this closing together. And if it's possible to make a circle-ish or a couple concentric circles. And just connect with those who are around you. It's such a tremendous honor to be surrounded by so many koa in this room. Auntie Maxine, Auntie Loretta, Auntie Terry, Auntie Moni, all of you who are gathered here today. Thank you so much for being here and for the work that you do to carry our lahui, to protect this aina, to tell our stories, to raise our babies, to reclaim the ways that we honor this aina, this earth, and our life cycle within it. Thank you all for being part of this ulu koa, this forest, this grove of koa. Aiko and
mahalo. Just before we start, aloha, my name is Aiko Yamashiro. I was raised by Kaneohe. My ancestors came to Hawaii from Guahan, from Okinawa, from Japan. And I'm offering this short thing that we wrote for Women's Voices, Women Speaks with my dear friend and my sister and my mother here, Reina Ramolete.
Aloha, I'm Reina Ramolete Hayashi. I was born and raised in Kapalama, and my ancestors come from the Philippines and Japan.
And our group was co-founded by Auntie Terry, by Ellen, who you heard speak, by Gigi Miranda, and it's women who believe in genuine security, not war. Genuine security means safe food, safe water, safe aina for us, safe, healthy families, jobs that give us dignity, food to eat, these things. And we learn from women, we learn from other islands, we learn from all these other places that in militarization, all of our violence is connected, but also all of our peace is connected, and our ea is connected, and our sovereignties are connected. And if we fight and we bring peace to one place, then we will feel it everywhere else. And we are responsible for that web of kuleana. So it's so moving to stand here with you today. So we were talking with one of our sisters, Darlene Rodriguez, who also has worked for demilitarization for a long time, and she asked us to think about this question: what does it mean to honor the scars on our mothers' backs? Because as we travel to these places, we hear stories from women, and we hear about genuine security and how hard it is, and everything that you've shared with us, and we see how beautiful we are, and we see how hard it is. So we're going to share this prayer with you. The first part of it we didn't write. It was written by someone also here in spirit, Teresia Tewa. So we start with her words, and then Reina and I will go into a prayer for our mothers, for all of you who mothered us in this room and in the world. Mahalo. They say in some parts of the Pacific that men have wings while women only have feet.
They say in other parts of the Pacific that women belong to the land while men belong to the sea.
Have you ever seen and heard a woman stand on the beach and wail at the sea and sky? If you have, then you have felt the peace of pain and the pain of peace.
Have you ever seen and heard a woman stand on the beach and wail at the sea and sky? If you have, then you have felt the pain of peace and the peace of pain.
Prayer for our mothers. I pray for your laughter in the sun under green banana leaves. I pray for your hands that fed me corn chowder, pineapple upside down cake, and wove baskets. Thank you also for not cooking and doing strategy instead. I pray for your tears that taught me to cry without being ashamed and how not to fear the truth. I pray for your feet that taught me to take one step at a time, to climb cliffs and ho'omau. I pray for your back that taught me how to carry whole islands across the sea if necessary. Thank you for your kohema lama lama. Thank you for your choices. Thank you for your dreams, not the American dream, but the dream that you made for yourself and for us. And we pray for your kupuna we meet through you. In Okinawa, I learned from my own grandmother how to use your own body to turn poison into medicine, so your grandchildren will never know hunger. I am a daughter who sees you. I honor your life. To me, peace is a dance that knows devastation.
I pray for you who speak the truth, even when your children are hungry for lies. I pray for you who resurrect memories from stones the rest of the world forgot. I pray for you who hear the bombs dropping on Aina and don't close your ears to drown out the genocide, but walk towards the fire, wailing, crying, burning, till your tears turn to ash, till your screams turn to silence, till your grief turns to birth. I pray for you who choose the messy unknown of struggle over the mundane safety of surrender. You are my mothers. In Hanayan, I learned that once you see ea in practice, you cannot unsee it. People will scold you. They'll say, you're naive, idealistic. Ea is impossible, they'll say. But your eyes know only the impossible is worth fighting for. I am a daughter who sees you. I honor your life. To me, peace is planting seeds in the dirt with an impossible prayer on your lips while you feel the soldier's hot breath at your back.
We are daughters who see you. We honor your life. To us, you are peace. We are daughters who see you. We honor your life. To us, you are peace.